All right.
Welcome, everyone. I'm really pleased tonight to have Jeff Barnhart here. I actually saw him and his wife, I think it was on Facebook or YouTube, and I said, I got to meet these people. And I called them up a while back, and they've been very busy on the road, and he's finally had some time to talk to me. And they call themselves Ivory and Gold, which we'll have to ask all about how they came up with that wonderful name. So, welcome, Jeff. Thank you for joining.
My pleasure, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice
Sure.
to be among so many great composers you've interviewed over the last 4 years.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And I appreciate the three CDs you sent me. I've gone through and listened to all of them. The music is just absolutely wonderful. I had a great time going through it. And I wish I could play all of it tonight, but we can't. In fact, we can't play, maybe a small fraction of what you have, but some beautiful music. But let's talk about how you got started in the world of music. When you were a little boy, were you in a musical family, or did music somehow touch you in a special way? Or what's the background on how you grew up?
It sure did. I grew up in Connecticut and summered in New Jersey along the shoreline. And my mom's folks, my grandma, my pop-pop, I called him when I was a kid, he played the theater organ. He had purchased one to put inside the music room of his home. And then
Oh,
he built the rest of it and got the pipes and just expanded the whole thing. So the music room really became completely inundated with this organ.
wow.
And it was so loud that the town I was in, being only a mile long, we were on the north end of town. Town itself was down at the south end. If the wind was right, you could hear that organ downtown.
Wow.
So as a little kid holding onto my grandma's hand, I'm going along and I hear it, I say, "That's Pop Pop." And I
Oh
run
my
over.
God.
All a young boy wants to do is make as much noise as he can. So I ran over and I started to play on that thing. And he started saying, "Okay, well, don't pound on it. Here's something we call middle C." And he just gave me, I would say, 3 or 4 hours worth of tuition, just figuring out how to play a couple things. I was
Yeah.
blessed with a good ear. So I literally started playing when I was two. Certainly not the prodigy level of Mozart or any of these
Wow.
famous folks, but as a protege, I quickly consumed everything I could, to the point where when I was five, if I heard a theme on the radio or on television, I would go over and be able to plunk it out with one finger, but
I
I'd
love
get
it.
it. And then he said, "Okay, now here's the next step." He had a bunch of music where it was the big note, but in addition to that, the letters were written in each note. And so he said, "Just do the right hand for now." So I figured out the note names and figured out how it was all connecting with what was on the page.
Mm.
Okay, now I'll teach you about a half a dozen chords. And so we did. So I was able to read the right hand melody in the treble clef, play the chords in the left hand, and all of a sudden, at about the age of seven, I was playing about 50 or 60 songs.
That's wonderful. So it's like a
Now,
fake book that you had access to with the chords underneath it, it's a melody
he
line?
actually had the stuff written down underneath, but he knew my way of working. It was going to take me too long to actually learn the bass clef as well, and that I needed instant gratification. I wanted to feel like I had accomplished something
That's
quickly.
wonderful. Yeah.
So after that, he said, "Okay, I've done all I can do." And my mom said, "You got a great ear. Let's get you some lessons." So at the age of nine, I started taking lessons with a fellow who was saying, "You need to play classical music. You need to do this. You need to do your scales. You need to do your arpeggios." And of course, I was very nice to him. He was very nice to me. And as soon as he left the house, because it was a house lesson, he would come to our family home. I go back and do whatever I wanted. And this went on for about 6 months. I struggled through the easiest Beethoven, the
Yeah.
easiest Chopin, the easiest Mozart, hating the way I was playing it, loving the
Mm.
music,
Mm.
but hating the fact that I couldn't do what I could do with, say, a pop tune I'd listen to on
Yeah.
television theme song and be able to do it.
Mm.
So I finally sat him down at about the age of uh, 10, 11, I think 11. I said, "Jay, I think it's great, the time we spend together. I don't want to waste your time, and I feel like I can't do this. I'm going to quit." And he said, "I know this is a struggle for you, but it's very important to learn these things." I said, "I know, but this is what I'd
Mm.
rather do." And I played him some. He said, "Just give me one more week. And if you feel the same way at the end of that week, then we will part company." So he was a family friend, and he talked to my mom about it. He came back the following week with what you just referred to, Andrew, a fake book. And it was about this thick
Yeah.
and about 400 pages. And he plopped it down, 400 double side pages. He plopped it down. He said, "Take a look." So I opened it up, and lo and behold, there were the chord symbols that I'd worked so hard to know what to do. There was the melody only. And he said, in your hands, you have 1,000 tunes you can play.
Wow. Wow.
So why don't we do that? So we did that for
Mm.
the entire half-hour lesson. And at the end of it, I said, okay, I'm on. He goes, well, I hope you enjoyed that. And he took the book away and he started to walk away. And I said, wait a minute, where are you going with that book? Can't I practice something from it? He said, the only way you're going to be able to practice something from this is if you do everything else I tell you to do.
Oh no, really?
The vegetables will happen first, then you get your dessert.
So he made you do scales and stuff like that?
And I did them, I mean, he was very lenient. And I honestly, I have to say, even though I'm saying it to any of your listeners, I really wish when I was younger I had taken all that stuff more seriously and I had done more with it. I was entirely, except for his tutelage on style, within the styles that matter to me, which would be the American music, pop music of the 1890s through about the 1940s,
Yeah.
is what I feel musically I connect with deep.
Yes. Yeah.
Because when I was 7, I heard the soundtrack for The Sting, and that was it. As soon as I
Da
heard
da
the
da 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 da
right,
da
that was the
da.
one. As soon as I heard the Entertainer done by an orchestra, I said, "This is what I want." And he
Yeah.
was very nice. He started getting me rags, teaching them to me. So
Mm.
right after we were done, I was doing Mozart's Sonata in C. He'd say, "Okay, now here's a ragtime piece in C, and look,
Wow.
middle of this rag, there's a scale, and this is one of the reasons you're doing it, not just to play Mozart, but to play any of the ragtime pieces you want to play too." He was an incredible teacher.
Wow.
I was close to him until he passed just 2 years ago at the age of 84. Uh,
Mm.
but he really set the stage for me to move forward. And that's pretty much, yeah, I wasn't really born into a musical family except for my mom's dad. And he didn't improvise as much as, but he could. He could play from a lead sheet and make something happen. And he was
So now
very,
I'm sorry, was he this is the guy with the organ? Is
yeah,
that,
yeah,
and did he was he a professional organist or he just did it as
no,
a hobby?
he did it as a hobby.
Oh, no kidding. Oh,
He was
wow.
an engineer who left school in eighth grade
Uh-huh.
and then just proceeded to be able to do anything you wanted. So he could build anything, he could
Mm.
figure out anything. And so music for him was an emotional release because he was always thinking up here about that stuff. So to be
Yeah.
able to just create some beauty,
Mm.
he'd play Johann Strauss. He'd play a lot of, some of them was watered down, but he loved to play the waltzes and the polkas of Strauss. So I got a chance to hear those as well.
Yeah.
I did grow up in a musical family from my grandparents,
Mm.
but neither my mom or my dad were terribly musical. I guess my dad was terribly musical. He's still around. He played fourth trumpet whenever he put on old Bix Beiderbecke records. When Beiderbecke was with the Paul Whiteman Orchestra playing third trumpet, my dad would sit there and play the 4 or 5 notes he could play on fourth trumpet. And I was able somehow to hear past that horrible noise into this amazing music from the 1920s. So even at the age of 5 and 6, I was dancing around the living room to "I'll Be a Friend with Pleasure" and all these old 20s tunes that Paul Whiteman
Wow.
recorded. So it was a magical way to come into the world of music.
Yeah. And there was some music on your, was it your mother's side, your grandparents, your maternal
Yeah,
grandparents? And,
yeah.
and were they professional or just happened to be good at music?
It just happened. It was my grandfather, and he happened
Yeah.
to be. He had a gifted ear, and he was very, I would say, skilled. I don't think there was much talent there. He had many other talents,
Yeah.
uh, and so I saw someone applying themselves very much so. He would practice every night after dinner, and play through some tunes and try some new things. And
Yeah.
he introduced me to the Poet and Peasant Overture. He said, "This is an example of classical music which has that left hand you like when you're playing ragtime in some
Mm.
places, and it has a lot of octave work which you're playing in your ragtime, and I think you'll be able to get it." And I
What
worked
was
on
it? What piece was that? I'm sorry.
Von Suppe's Poet and Peasant Overture,
Poet and Peasant Overture. Okay.
which is an incredible piece.
Mm.
Uh, it's done by orchestras, but there was also a piano score.
Huh.
So it was the longest I'd ever practiced on something. For 3 months, I worked assiduously at this piece.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
And finally got it, and I was very proud of that. Only to find out maybe 25 years later that it was a cutting contest piece back in St. Louis during the ragtime era. If you were able to play it, you had a leg up on a lot of the other pianists playing in town.
Wow.
And so it's great that that cross section of these pianists call themselves professors, very tongue in cheek, because again, none of them could read music. So
Yeah.
they were hearing this played by someone else, grabbing it, playing it, putting their own stamp on it.
Huh.
It was always the Poet and Peasant Overture by von Suppe and Joplin, or von Suppe and Chauvin, or any of the great piano players who were playing in St. Louis around the turn of the 20th century.
Huh. So what were some of your other favorite pieces when you were a kid, would you say?
When I was a kid, I loved I mentioned Bix Beiderbecke. Loved listening to Louis Armstrong.
Mm.
Loved, as a kid, uh, my parents didn't really have that much in the way of classical music. I had to go search it out myself.
Hmm.
And the big piece that I fell in love with was Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor,
Ah,
because I was also, especially as a teenager, a rather macabre young man. So
okay.
the idea of this piece is like, it was great. I would blast it out. And when I was about 12, my grandmother gave me, and I wish I could remember, I still have it in the music room around the corner, all my records, uh, the 500 or 50 or 100 great themes from the 50 greatest composers. And so I would start listening to that, and I listened to that pretty much from the time I got up in the morning till
Wow.
I returned
Oh,
from
that's
school
great. What a
till
great idea. Yeah.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
And same thing. She said, check out what all this is. This is music that inspired all the music you like. Everybody who was writing this stuff and performing it was aware of these great composers, especially the neoclassicists, the Romantics.
Yeah.
Fats Waller, who is still one of my heroes, was took Leopold Godowski, and he knew Bach inside out, Chopin. So when he was done playing his hot jazzy stride piano, when he got to the after hours hangs, he would sit down and he'd start to play a pretty Bach
Oh, no
eight,
kidding.
yeah,
That
three-finger invention.
must
And
be a real treat. Yeah.
well, and everybody would let it go for about 3 minutes. Say, okay, come on, Fats, give us some of that swing and jive. And you go, oh, okay. So, it's this now I know more classical music than I ever did as a kid because I
Yeah.
married Anne. And Anne was steeped in the classical world. She studied with Ransom Wilson, was her final teacher, and he was the last really important American student of Jean-Pierre Rampal.
Mm.
So, there's a lineage there. And it was really, honestly, musically, when we first met, it was Beauty and the Beast, the old Disney cartoon come to life.
And where
Because
was that? Where'd you first meet her?
we met at a community music school we were teaching in New London called the
Yeah.
Thames Valley Music School.
Uh-huh.
She was teaching flute, and I was teaching jazz piano theory and composition.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. I want to play this first song, Freddie. Do you have a little backstory on that you want to share with us?
There's a fantastic book written by Leo Buscaglia, and I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I don't really know. I've never actually heard it pronounced.
Hmm.
And he was that pop psychologist in the 90s who essentially said, if you believe in yourself, you treat everybody else well, you have optimism, your whole life's magically going to work out. It would be nice if it were that easy, but it was a good positive message, and I'm a big fan of those. And I
Hmm.
try and incorporate that into all the music that I'm either performing or composing and then sharing. So this particular piece came from being introduced to a book that he wrote while I was in college. I had a good friend who was big in the theater department, and he brought this book to me one day and said, I love this story. Will you read it? It was called The Fall of Freddie the Leaf. And it's a children's book designed to help any young child who has undergone the stress and trauma of losing a loved one,
Hmm.
family passing, an immediate family member, a friend, cousin, anyone that's part of their inner circle that
Yeah.
is no longer there, that leaves
Hmm.
them, to paraphrase Sondheim, halfway through the woods.
Hmm.
And so he came up with, yeah, Fall of Freddie the Leaf. The two main characters are this leaf Freddie and another leaf Daniel. They're on the same tree, so I have no idea why Daniel's so much wiser. But he says, don't worry. Yes, we seem to be changing color. Yes, it's getting colder. And I noticed that you noticed on the tree across the field, you're seeing some of our friends falling from that tree,
Hmm.
falling to the ground. Nobody knows what's next, but it's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay to go through the process of change.
Hmm.
So with this beautiful children's book, he had me read it, and I brought it back, and I said, "Thank you for sharing this amazing story. Here's your book back." He goes, "So hang on to it. Why don't you look at it again and again,
Yeah.
and write music to accompany my reading this?"
Wow.
So at Harkness Chapel in Connecticut College, where he and I were both attending, we worked it out. So we had the grand piano at the back of the church, and he was up there on the altar, the podium where the altar would be, standing in front of it, having memorized the text, reading Leo Buscaglia The Fall of Freddie the Leaf, while in the back, so they didn't see me, so I would in no way interrupt the experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was playing the score.
Huh.
And at the end of it, I'm not giving anything away because fall happens. One great thing about the book, he says, notice how each leaf falls in a different way. Some of them
Hmm.
dive down quickly. Some of them fall in a way that's very violent and moving and twisting and turning. Others
Yeah.
just relaxedly go to their new place.
Mm.
So I was trying to capture that with the music. At the end, when Freddie leaves, he leaves right after Daniel does. He's saying, "I'm all alone." As he's going down, he's looking up at this bare tree, wondering at it. And we had up in the rafters of the chapel, we had collected about 8 bags of leaves,
Oh my God.
and we dropped them through the holes so they
Wow.
fell down onto the audience. The audience was
Well,
mostly consisting of college students and professors.
that must have been a real rush. Wow.
Every single one of them turned into a 6 year old. They were just it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
Yeah.
So there's no way that what we're going to listen to could adequately convey how I felt about it. We
Yeah.
did go on a circuit for about 6 months and primarily did Connecticut libraries and performed it 3 or 4 dozen times.
Wow.
And that was a great moment for me. And someday when I've slowed down, I'd like to be able to try and find a way to do that again because
Yeah.
I think it's a very positive message for families.
Excellent. Very nice. It's very touching and yet also childlike at the same time. You know, it's very sweet.
Thank you
Uh,
very much. So that's what I
yeah.
was trying to go for. The main theme stays the same every time. And
Mm.
then, uh, I, truth be told, there's been a bit of time since I've listened to this. So I surprised myself a couple of times with where I went because the middle part, as it is when I do this show, well, gosh, it's been 30 years since I've done that show, but when I do it, it takes about a half hour to read. So there's music constantly behind it and
Mm.
the main themes. And then I would just riff until it was time to move on to the next theme. So
Oh, I
there's a
see.
different melody for the leaf called Daniel.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I'm going to play the other piece from it, which is called As the Leaves Gently Fall. And I love the fact that you can almost visualize those leaves falling. And by the way, this comes from an album called, or CD called Mystic Memories, which it looks like there's a cover of Mystic Harbor there, I assume. Is that of Mystic, Connecticut? Is that what that is?
that is,
Yeah.
I'm proud to say I took that photo. And
Yeah.
my
Very
wife and
nice
I
photo.
lived there we lived there for 30 years.
Ah,
Just recently moved up into Talland County. So now
aha.
so
Excellent. Excellent.
so now that the meaning of this album takes on a whole new meaning now compared to
Yes.
some time ago.
Oh my God. So this is going to be the next piece we're going to play is called As the Leaves Gently Fall. It's funny. I don't think I ever stared at a leaf falling until I saw that movie Forrest Gump, where the opening scene has the leaf falling down. And then I thought, what a great cinematic moment. And now when in the fall, I will stare for sit down and watch those leaves just kind of fall gently down and follow the little path. Everyone's different. It's very interesting. And I never really
It,
thought about it until that time. Yeah.
and that particular melody, while I was listening to it, it came back to me. I actually wrote that as the penultimate tune in a, well, I shouldn't say a Broadway musical because it never reached Broadway, but I wrote a musical when I was in high school.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep. And it was a
that's
com
ambitious. Oh my God.
it was a farce. It actually, the only thing that was missing was I didn't have any money to front it. So,
Wow. What was it
um,
about?
it was called "A King's Home is This Castle," and it was all about a an advisor who was an evil guy who wanted to marry the princess. It was all very, very high school,
Wow.
a bumbling king and a smart queen. And towards the end of it, she tells him she wants a divorce. It was probably my way of processing the fact that my parents had gotten divorced 4 years prior.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So, so that
Yeah.
melody is what she sings to him. And so
Wow.
when I got into college and I was working on this frayed leaf, I remembered that melody and I said, well, that thing never went anywhere. I might as well recycle this because I think it's the right one for when these leaves start to fall down on the autumn.
Yeah. And so
So,
you're playing this in the background while he's reading too?
oh
Is that
yes,
how? Yeah,
yeah.
that must have been amazing. That must have been really impressive. Yeah.
It's something that I hope someday to mount. I'd find
Yeah.
someone willing to read it while I play the stuff
Well,
behind.
how about getting this musical done? You think you might do that sometime, or have to be rewritten a lot? You think you're older looking at it?
Well, that's very interesting because I
Yeah.
just recently looked at it. It's a whole bunch of. It's almost like a Mel Brooks uh, comedy until
Yeah.
the end it gets serious. And I took it to my then drama teacher from school,
Yeah.
and he was wonderful. He took the time to read it, took the time to have some meetings with me, and he said, it's all Marx Brothers until this moment, and then it becomes so melodramatic it doesn't work. You're going to have to rewrite the ending, or just it was a good experiment, and I never got around to it. He
Or
was
maybe
right.
you don't. Maybe it's time for a new genre that's Marx Brothers and then serious at the end. Maybe we need that more of that in the world. I don't know. So,
Well, I'm still unpacking. Once I find it, I'll take a look.
I love it. Now this next one features your wife.
Yes.
It's called Aspens in the River. I love it. It's got a really pensive quality. It's just really beautiful. Do you want to give us a little background story on that?
This one is what I would consider to be maybe the first stretch for me as a composer where I was trying to push the envelope both rhythmically, melodically, and harmonically. You
Mm.
know, crunchy chord clusters that happen in the accompaniment um, came from just also, it was written for a beautiful couple who had started a jazz festival in Sun Valley, Idaho,
Oh wow.
back in the early 1980s. By the time I started appearing there in the late 1990s, they had grown older, of course. And by the time we were in the 2010s, they were starting to pack it in and give it to their daughter to run.
Mm.
So I was seeing them, I'd known them for nearly 20 years. I'd seen them visibly aging. And it really touched me how close they were. You'd see them holding hands at the end of the. And when I say a festival, this was a festival that featured over 150 musicians and had 8,000 people show up. So
Wow.
it was a big deal in Sun
Wow.
Valley, inundating the town. It's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
So I said, I think I'd like to write a piece for you. And they said, well, that would be great. So this is dedicated to Tom and Barbara Hazard.
Mm.
Aspen on the river because the aspen, this always took place in October, mid-October, and the aspens with their white trunks and their beautiful golden yellow leaves, just that's what stands out when you go to that area of the world at that time of year.
Wow. Yeah.
I said, I'm going to write something that hopefully captures the two of you. And so
Mm.
that's kind of what's going on. The piano represents him, Anne's flute represents her. Tom was his name, her name was Barbara. He actually had a wonderful speaking voice. He was on the radio for many years
Mm.
in Idaho. So it just seemed like a really cool thing to gift to them.
Very
And
nice.
one time at the end of the festival for the big finale, they came up and sat on stage as honored honorees of the entire thing, and my wife and I got to play it for them. So it was quite an
Wow.
honor. So when it came time to record an album of all of my compositions, I knew this one had to be on there.
I love it. Well, I'm going to also share the screen now with you and Ann as a couple. So this is not necessarily dedicated to you as a couple, but there's another couple that's going to be in the screen while we listen to this wonderful dedication. So this is Aspens on the River. Wow. Very nice. Oh my God. They must have loved that, I would imagine.
Yeah, yeah, they were
Yeah.
very moved, and it was such an honor to be able to share that with them
Mm.
in front of so many people who had enjoyed so much because of them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it was really one of my highlights. And now listening as closely as I was, because it's interesting doing an interview with you, Andrew,
Hmm.
and I imagine you've probably heard this from your other composers, some of them, they listen more closely to what they know so well. And I was doing that just now, and I realized I had written that in ragtime form. It had an A section that was repeated, a B section repeated. You went back to the A, and then you got to the trio, and that's where you stayed. And so what I did in this case, moving from E minor as I did to the key of E, I wanted to sort of share musically what I knew they had gone through, both as a couple, raising their families, creating from the ground up this amazing festival,
Yeah,
which started very small and kept growing. And just I wanted to make sure that last section really had a triumph to it, and a
it
soaring.
definitely did. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful.
And I
Yeah.
could only get away with it because Anne is such a magnificent player.
Wonderful player. Just beautiful. Absolutely. Now this next piece has two flutes, and I assume you have her play two tracks, so one track after the other, or yeah,
Yep, yep.
yeah.
That's what we did. She did the flute one, and then went back and overdubbed, and that's when she kind of had this strange. Wait a minute, here I am playing alongside of myself. What's this?
Yes. So this is called River Song. Anything else you want to share with us before we play it?
Just that this one was one of the simpler pieces that I wrote. Its companion pieces also on the CD, Mystic Memories, that we're exploring right now.
Mm.
And I just wanted to have a real flow, uh, hence the title. I just wanted to feel like it was constant movement. Um, and I've had people who enjoy dancing come to me and say that of all the tracks, that's the one they enjoy dancing to. Oh, the previous one being in a habanera rhythm, people love dancing the tango to it as well, which is kind of fun to see.
Mm. This does have a running bass line that makes it really, you feel the movement of it. It's very visceral. It's amazing. So here we go. This is River Song. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, this next piece is the title track of your CD, Mystic Memories. And I remember reading that it was 15 years in the making. So I guess you had a number of different things over time you put together over the years. And I'm familiar with that concept. Yeah. So tell us about that.
Well, it's pure ragtime, and then it has four themes,
Mm-hmm.
four 16 bar motifs, one after the other. In the Joplin tradition, Scott Joplin primarily would write four melodies for each of his rags.
Mm.
So this, I would say, is one of my more Joplin-esque rags, although I do push the envelope harmonically beyond what really would have been accepted at the time from Joplin. I think he
Mm.
probably would have been able to do something as harmonically complex as this, certainly, but he was getting pressure from his publishers to keep it playable enough that everybody would be
Oh,
able to
really? No, I
say,
didn't
okay.
realize that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sometimes he'd come in and it'd be a rag that he'd written in D flat, and the publisher would say, fewer people will be able to play it in D flat. Why don't we put it in C?
No kidding. Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why that would get off track, I think, for what we're talking about here. But
Yeah.
anyhow, so I was thinking about him, and again, it was during high school that I wrote what will be the second melody you hear. All right. So
Okay.
that was the first one. And then I thought, well, that's a pretty good 16 bars of ragtime music. What am I going to do with it? So I shelved it for the next 7 or 8 years,
Yeah.
and then sat down and came up with the first theme we hear. No,
Mm.
I'm sorry, that's not right. The trio, the third theme you're going to hear was the second one written.
Yeah.
I have the middle of the piece essentially. The first sections and the last sections haven't been. And then Ann and I were playing a series of concerts, one a year in a house concert series in California and San Francisco. Wonderful Victorian mansion, all done in antiques and especially a Greek, Roman and Greek.
Mm.
I don't even know what word to use.
Yeah.
It's artifacts and stuff. It was just
Like,
amazing, this place. But
yeah.
he also had 33 mechanical instruments that played ragtime. Everything
Oh, no
ranging
kidding.
from upright, player piano to these gigantic orchestrions
Oh my
that
God.
would go 20 feet and take up one end of the lower level where he kept these things. And when
Wow.
you put the nickel in, you got an entire orchestra, everything from drums to banjo to violin,
I didn't even
all
know such a thing was made. That's amazing.
it's mind-boggling. He's
Wow.
passed since, but
Mm.
his partner keeps up all the stuff. And so I thought, Richard deserves a piece written directly for him.
Yeah.
And I only got three of the sections done before he passed.
Mm.
So I thought, well, I was hoping to play it for him. Maybe it needs to be something else. And it was just about this time that I was coming up with the idea that I had enough music that I could make a full length recording to share with people. That I said, I need one more section.
Wow.
And here we are in Mystic. So that's where Mystic Memories came from.
I love
So
it. I love it.
I don't think he minds that he didn't end up getting it dedicated to him because he was gone before I could finish it. So that's
Yeah.
why it took so long. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I picture different scenes in Mystic when I play it, when I listen to it.
That's wonderful. Okay, so let's play, if we can now, Mystic Memories. And by the way, ragtime is pretty big for you. You do a lot of ragtime, true?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. So this is Mystic Memories, your ragtime piece. All right. Let's now talk about Talks with Children from your other album. Well, you have three albums I'm aware of. You have one called Peace Prayers, which is an improvisational album, and you have one piece called Talks with Children. Let's talk about that.
Well, Peace Prayers was sort of a sequel to another CD I had done called Canyon Musics. And that one was 1 hour nonstop, press record, go, finish. Whatever happens, happens. If it's good enough, the other people should hear it, release it. If it's not, trash it. And I was lucky enough that it came out well. So it did well enough with so many positive responses from the people who purchased it that they were asking for a sequel. And I thought, well, you do that once, that's enough. You don't want to go back and do it again. What is that? So I thought, well, in this case, why don't I just sit down and this time plan on having the pieces be anywhere between 8 to 12 minutes and just go until it seems like it's time to stop with that story.
Mhm.
Having done that, the title came because of peace prayers. They all are uniform in that they hopefully engender a sense of solace, a sense of peace, a sense of repose. And then the titles came after listening a few times to each one of the tracks. This particular one struck me as a conversation between an adult and a child, no matter what the relationship, whether it's in family, whether it's a teacher student. And the left hand, well, it wouldn't be the left hand because I'm crossing over to play with my right. Um, the lower register representing the adult voice, the upper register representing the child's voice, and just the conversation that goes between them back and forth. So that's that particular track, and then the other ones all
Yeah,
have backstories that just sort of when I listened to it, that's the title that came to my head.
I love it. Okay, so this is just a part of this beautiful piece called Talks with Children. I love that you just improvised that. That's wonderful. That really is something special. And in fact, I will say, I'll show later an image of this Canyon Musings, and you literally just turned on, dim the lights in the studio and started playing for an hour and just stopped after an hour. And it all was beautiful. It was really wonderful. I could never do that. I don't know how you do that. That is amazing. That's just amazing.
I just hope the flow works, and it's very interesting. There was no second take. It was just start.
Yeah.
And I would say, Andrew, about a half hour into Canyon Musings, what would become Canyon Musings, I said, where am I going to go now? I said, just don't think about it.
Wow.
Let your mind free itself,
Yeah.
let your fingers move, let your ears respond, and it'll all work out.
That's
And
great.
I'm very gratified that it did.
Well, I heard this piece a few times, but now I really appreciate talks with children. You can almost hear the adult and the child talking back and forth. It's kind of like yeah, it's very nice how that worked.
And it
So
does
this,
go for about 9 minutes, and it starts very, not as impassioned, just a little quiet conversation that then turns into, and you can use your imagination what they're talking about.
yeah, yeah, exactly. In fact, I had a couple of words I was thinking as we were going back and forth. And what's next? What do you mean next, Dad? Anyway, so this is a story about your love journey with her. Love's journey.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's one of those ones, and I'll get to the punchline about that later on in our time together.
yeah, it's just beautiful. Okay, so this is on track three, and I'm going to share the screen with the two of you now. These two lovebirds here, and we'll play this beautiful piece. Wow. That must have been a rush for the two of you to play that together. That's just beautiful. Now, one of the things I love about your CD, you have some great titles on here. You have one called Wilbur Wobble and Iberian Glimmers, Eagles and Ivory's Rag, and Remembering Nan. It sounds like that was a very special one. We won't obviously have time to play all those, but this final piece from this CD is called Mediterranean Nights. Do you want to give me a little background on that?
This one was inspired by a friend of mine who's a wonderful pianist and composer. And put you two in touch actually, because I think
Oh
you'd have a
yeah.
wonderful time speaking with him. His name is Scott Kirby. He lives in Colorado. And I first met him at a jazz festival in the Friday Harbor, Washington. There was a jazz festival happening there. He was playing solo piano on a piano that he was carting around on a trailer. And the reason he was doing that is because that's how he was making his living in New Orleans. His own piano, putting on the back of an SUV and going up and down the streets of New Orleans, parking, playing for a bit, busking, getting some money, and continuing on.
Well,
So that's how he was performing, and I was performing with a group, a jazz
yeah.
group. So we got to know each other, and come to find out, he also composes incredibly beautiful piano music,
Mm,
sometimes ragtime, sometimes more classically oriented. And so this piece, although I never actually formally dedicated it to him, every note and every rhythm was with Scott in mind because he loves taking that habanera rhythm. It's an important rhythm that shows up in a kind of music called Terra Verde, which a group of composers in the 1990s created the name for to express what it was they were working on, expanding the ragtime genre vocabulary.
mm,
And they were going back to the syncopation, but they were doing it in such a way to bring it into a late 20th century ethos in a way. So
yeah.
his pieces are very much like that. And I would say this is probably an example of Terra Verde music, has the syncopation of ragtime, has that habanera feel.
Yeah.
And I decided to see where could I go harmonically with it. Could I make it flow, but go all over the place? And I'll let the listener decide whether I succeeded or not.
Yeah.
Every time I listen to it, I say, "Did I really do that?" This is
Now,
pushing the mile envelope. Sure.
Terra Verde means, doesn't it mean green earth? That's an interesting
Yes,
expression, green earth.
yes.
Yeah.
The green. So it was really the Green Earth movement,
Interesting.
bringing the music back to its naturalist state, and bringing all sorts of other, even though you don't hear the words, poetry that meant something to them. Very, very much across disciplinary music,
Yeah.
where the actual notes created are being inspired by so many other things that are not only musical.
Wonderful. Okay, well, let's hear this piece now. This sounds pretty exciting. So that's the habanero background. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah, very nice. And I especially like the sixth at some point you play in unison. It's just something very airy and open about that. It's quite wonderful.
I love all those open intervals, just
Yeah, quite nice, quite nice. So this last piece we're going to play is a very special piece. It's called Annie's Song, and I bet it's about Annie. Annie, thank you so much. We cannot have all this time go by and not introduce a very key part of his music. Your flute playing brings so much to the table. We can't possibly have this interview and not include you. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
My pleasure. I'm fine. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Your flute playing is just magnificent. It just brings so much to the table. It's just so gorgeous. And
Okay.
I want to thank you for that. Thank you for coming. And we're now going to play your song, Annie's Song, and this is you playing live on stage somewhere. Do you want to give us a little background, Jeff, on this song before I play
Is it live?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
no
the
kidding.
still.
Ah,
Great. We get to watch ourselves do it too.
oh boy.
it?
Two things about this. First, when I named it, I realized, of course, John Denver has a song, Annie's Song.
Ah,
Luckily, titles are the only things you can't copyright. You can copyright melodies, you can copyright all
Lyrics.
sorts of other lyrics, but you can't copyright titles. So I said,
oh, really?
I'm okay. This is good. Um,
Yeah,
so in this case, this particular song came about, being full-time musicians as we are, when it comes to special occasions, there's not a lot of money to throw around to buy nice things like new
yeah,
cars and
right,
diamonds.
right.
So
Lamborghini, something like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
you know. So I went to Anne 2 weeks before one of our anniversaries, and I said, "You know what's coming up?" She says, "Yes, I do.
Yep.
I know you are going to write me
Another
a
money
song
song.
for our anniversary." I said, "Yes, I am." She says, "I love you, but for God's sake, this time will you make it simple to play?" She goes, "All these other ones you've written for me, it takes me weeks to learn. I have to
Oh my
really work
God, it's
on."
painful, painful.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
So yeah, like all of them. Huh?
All of
wow,
Love's
wow.
Journey that we heard with all those long notes in the high
Yeah,
reg. That's challenging for a flautist, no matter what their level.
very beautifully done too. Wow.
well, and these were supposed to be presents for me. So I'd interpret it and then we'd be rehearsing and then he'd say, no, no, that's not the way it's supposed to go. No, no, not there. Not like that.
Don't phrase it that way.
Don't phrase it that way.
Oh my God. The trials and tribulations of musician couples. I love it. Well, here's the song. It's just a gorgeous song. And thank you, Annie, for sharing it with us. Here we go. just gorgeous. I could tell that you seem to have you put into that. I think, Jeff, everything you ever learned about playing great music. It was just had all the wonderful attributes of the most beautiful song. It was just beautiful. And
Oh,
Annie,
thank you
your
a
playing's
lot.
magnificent. Annie, while we have you, tell us just a little bit about you. How did you become a musician as a little girl? Did you know you wanted to be a musician? What was your little life story there?
Actually, I wanted to be a chef.
Oh, no
Um,
kidding.
yeah, but my dad told me that wasn't a real job.
Oh, okay.
So
But did he say music was a real job?
no,
No, she did that
No.
to spite him.
being contrary,
Yeah.
it was either going to be music or biomedical engineering, and
Oh,
I decided that biomedical engineering and genetic research was fraught with more peril than I really wanted to handle.
yeah. Yeah.
So I went off to music school instead.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Because a lot of people struggle and never, like, I always wanted to be a musician, but never ended up being one. I do a little bit on the side, but I'm not an established 100%, professional musician. I just love the fact to explore how people made that decision. Sometimes it's a tough decision. I guess in Jeff's case, it sounded like very easy. Like he just always knew he was going to be a musician. But I ended up in bioengineering, but on the sales side. So I can't take credit for all the wonderful things that are happening. But it's amazing what goes on in that world.
Oh yeah.
But you know, but
She's definitely smart enough to, but she spited her dad by going into music. And because being a chef was not a career. So every time I see him, Andrew, I say, "Hey, Dad, did you see that great show last night on the Flute Channel?"
Well, your playing is absolutely gorgeous. And so, were you? So you weren't from a musical family, I assume. Then your dad wasn't a professional piano
No,
player or anything like that.
no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
No, not really. I mean, I
yeah,
played uh when I was I played flute all through school. I was
yeah,
always, first chair or principal or whatever.
yeah,
A little guitar when I was in high school. I may still can
yeah.
play guitar. And then I went off to Benjamin T. Rome School of Music and got my bachelor and master's degree there. And then
Mm,
I stayed with John Wyatt from the New York City Opera after
mm,
I graduated, and then Ransom Wilson privately
mm,
after my degree.
mm.
And he had studied with Jean-Pierre Rampal.
Oh wow. I did get the pleasure of seeing him when I was working up in Maine one time. IBM held this concert and had him and sponsored the concert, had him there, and he came and signed all these things for us afterwards. He was quite a fun guy to chat with afterwards, and just a beautiful, gorgeous, just amazing player. So it's wonderful to have that lineage and to
Yep.
pass that on. And your playing just does some wonderful things for all of us out here in the world with our travails every day, and we need to sometimes hear something beautiful. And thank you for doing that for us. We appreciate that. Yeah.
I always say, if people say, what can I do to improve my flute playing? I just say, add more air. That's all it is. A
It's
big,
just a
big
lot
air.
of air. Well, I got to tell you, your playing is just absolutely gorgeous, just wonderful. I really enjoyed the hour and a half we just had with Jeff and listening to your music, and also listening to all the music that Jeff sent me. And you guys play all over the country. It's just wonderful what you're doing. So hats off to you, and wish you the best going forward. And this is going to be the end of the official interview. I want to just thank you both for joining today.